Pretty Little Liars, the television series, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And today we have one episode of Pretty Little Liars for you. We have the season 5 finale. Welcome to the Dollhouse. Right?
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yes, it is. It is called Welcome to the Dollhouse.
I said that with a lot of confidence for someone who was like 80% sure.
Which was named after a television. Jesus Christ.
A movie.
A movie. And I think the Wikipedia linked out to Morgan King's like Twitter. It was just like, yeah, I wanted to name it like in reference because I was a fan of the movie. Because the movie is like a dark comedy about growing up.
Well, isn't quite the same vibe, but respect.
They're growing up somehow. But yeah, this is a wild episode. This takes a right turn from, I feel like, teen horror to like True Detective. Like, damn, like elevated everything they're doing to another stratosphere. It's like, oh my god, this is such an escalation. I know A's tried to kill them. Not to say that A didn't trap them in a giant freezer or
in a box.
And I mean,
with the dead body.
Exactly. But at least there's like a little bit of there's a little bit more camp to it. There's some stuff happening in this, but it's a lot creepier.
Yeah. And it's gonna get a little psychological torture-y.
Because I'm imagining.
I mean, that's what they're already kind of leading towards.
Oh, that we actually just more see it on screen now. Because hearing what Mona went through for 3 months, like, my God, terrifying. But it's Mona, so she's like, well, I didn't break.
Yeah, Mona's like, oh, play it along.
And I tried to find a way out. But, yeah, I can't imagine them, because it's always an escalation, that they won't continue on the path that we're now set. Now that it is like psychological, like, oh, there's something happening here with why A is messing with them and following them, and it's, I feel when I say True Detective 2, it's like also following along in the type of, when I say True Detective, I mean a type of kind of like darker crime procedural, and it's like following a little bit more, I feel, of pulling in like serial killer kind of like mythology and things, and I feel like that's where this is definitely leaning to, especially when it's like, oh, it's all the way back to the childhood. They created their own like childhood bedroom,
I guess so, or like a playroom or something.
There's a bassinet in there, right? So yeah, we'll see. It works for this episode, but I'm interested to see how it works in the long run. It has me a little worried in that way. Okay. So, well, but in terms of that, but I think you had mentioned that your reaction to when you first saw this episode.
Yeah, so I originally did not like this part. I thought that they really enjoyed dragging things out for the fans. I mean, they were keeping a show going, and they pretended like it was for the fans, but really they've basically admitted to this in different articles. It's kind of like, we took things as far as we could before people would like literally revolt. And I'm like, it was too long. The idea that they promised constantly, like, you're gonna get A's name, you're gonna find out who A is, and then they give you the fucking name Charles. And you're like, there's no fucking Charles in this town. No. I know everyone in Rosewood by looks.
What is up with teen shows and naming a weird brother that you don't know about?
Blonde serial killer.
You know, if I had a nickel for each time this happened, I'd have 2 nickels, but it'd be weird that it happened twice.
It is very interesting, isn't it?
But it all goes back to your original, when we first started this.
I said that Pretty Little Liars walked so Riverdale could run, and I stand by that.
You know, something to keep in mind as we come back around to Original Sin.
Do I think that this is a really cool episode? Yes, absolutely, hands down. Was I so mad the first time I watched it almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago, that I didn't care? Everyone's like, oh, that was so good. And I'm like, this is the fucking worst. If I wasn't so goddamn addicted to this phone or this show, I would quit right now. Unfortunately, I've already sat through 5 full seasons and I'm here till the end.
Yeah, I can imagine fucking Charles and throwing your phone against the wall.
You're like, okay, so is Andrew Jason's twin? That doesn't work. So then you're like, what the fuck?
And we
the Mona arc is so good, but the show itself really finds its footing towards the end of that and then after. So I almost wish we'd had this type of show with the Mona arc.
Oh, of Mona's A? Is that what you're referring to with the
Mona being A arc. Sorry, I should have explained that. I think that Mona being A, or the payoff on this one is interesting. I think I can assume how you're going to react to this reveal.
Yeah, and I can already imagine that it going also back. We're gonna wrap back around to True Detective. The worst part about season 1 is when they catch the killer. The type of like psychological thing, like, ooh, it's all about like their childhood and things like that, and harkening back, and there's this deep psychological wound to them. I don't think is like quite as like. Again, this was a similar thing. This is a similar piece to when I was angry about the Mona reveal. So, and I can see that it's at least heading in that direction, even if I don't know the exact direction. And so I'm like, eh. But like I said, this specific episode, I like it.
The journey there is kind of fun. And A has been wilding ever since A filled the filling. Like, really, that was the moment for me where I was like, okay. Like, that's truly like where the line was fully crossed when A filled the filling on Hannah. Yeah. Or like left the note or whatever because it hurt.
And then just being a mummy is just, of a piece.
Oh, that was just a vibe, though. Like, Mona would have done that.
Right.
That's a girl boss move. But the rest of the things are not so girl bossy because,
It's extremely not girl bossy, yeah.
Makes sense.
We'll be getting to that later, yeah. In Theory Corner. But and even the oh my god, hashtag for this was Big A reveal. I would tear my hair out.
Yeah, and then you get Charles.
All right, see ya. See you in 3 months. Ponder what Chuck means.
I'm gonna chuck this TV through the window. I was so mad. I remember being like literally physically angry.
Yeah.
And I'm not really one of those people that like cares about a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I watch things for fun, and this I was like, oh god damn it! Like I hate this.
You kidding me?
I look up spoilers because I like to know. So like the idea that they were not going to give me the information they promised me. Oh, Marlene should have gotten. If I hadn't been in college, Marlene would have got. It was busy. It was my senior year. Marlene would have gotten a letter.
This type of promotion, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the marketing.
It's criminal.
Yes. Yeah, if they wanted to just be like, we're going to give you some information, but not enough, like. Whatever, but they kept saying we would get an A reveal.
Yeah, and then when you're watching it in a compressed time as me, and you're not seeing any of the marketing, you don't have to wait week to week. Well, I wait week to week in a sense.
Yeah, but you get like 2 at a time.
Yeah, and it's much faster. I'm not taking breaks, so it's like, and this also isn't the break before 3 months, so I just go, okay, roll the next one.
I'm gonna make you wait 3 months to watch it just to make you miserable. Sorry, everyone will be gone.
We'll start the break early. Yeah, so it's obviously that doesn't affect me as much. Kind of go, okay, it just laugh because it's like, okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, looking back now, I'm like, oh, that's fine. It is what it is.
But yeah, when you want to know the thing and it's unresolved, you're like, God damn it.
I remember, I think the season 6 opener is like really good. And I was like, oh, this show is different now.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Okay.
And I think like this kind of gives you that, but you don't have enough time to sink into it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this show is different now.
It definitely there's a vibe shift happening here.
And then they wrap this all up in like 10 episodes so that then we can do a time jump.
Right, because then they'd already got... Yes, so...
Originally, I think they were going to end this arc at the end of season 6. Or, yeah, and then they were like... I read this the other day, and then they were like, oh, we need to give it to people earlier because they're fed up.
Oh, got
and
it.
I think it also had to do with they wanted to have enough time to play out that last season and a half arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess if you had just done one time jump season, that's a bit compressed for PLL to do just 20 episodes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty Little Liars takes its time.
I'm interested to see what you think after the time jump. And when we're all done, I want to like make you force rank your A eras.
Okay.
Because I think like A-wise, it goes Mona, this one, and then the very last one. But I think that like storyline wise, it gets kind of messier. You know what I mean? I'm like, is the storyline better after the Mona arc? Like, it's kind of fun to look at it that way. But because I think of it in terms of A's. Right. I break the show down in terms of like the A eras.
Absolutely.
But this one is the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
by a
season,
big margin, yeah.
Season and a half.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how I feel at the end. Because especially maybe different between how I feel about the A and then how I feel about the seasons themselves. Because I feel like it's really cooking in season 3.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's what... We'll save it for later, actually.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it makes this A its own thing.
That's fine. Let's get to the episode. Season 5, episode 25, episode 120, Welcome to the Dollhouse. The friends are in a prison transport. Emily asks why they're being separated from Allison. Hannah heard that the warden got in it. Hannah, in this scene specifically, is just like, yeah, I know all about jail. Like,
Hannah's girl bossed her way through jail already.
She'd gotten heard that the warden got an anonymous tip that they were planning something.
With Allie.
Mm-hmm. And that she had heard this from someone like doing the laundry. Like, she's got her contact. Hannah seems to know all about the prison life. Like I mentioned, it gives them all advice on like, how it feels to be in prison and how like guilty it makes you feel even when you aren't. Hey, there you go.
Catholicism. Emily will be really good at this.
Oh, yeah. Also talking about our incarceration system. There was crap. I think it was a little bit after this. It was like the night of, and it was about a guy who gets arrested for killing his girlfriend, but he actually didn't do it. And it's just like extremely harrowing of showing him being stuck in Rikers for like months on end while he's waiting for like his trial and things. Oh, awful. This is what it made me think of when Hannah's like speaking to like, yeah, like I didn't do it, but it makes you feel like worn down and guilty. And I'm like, damn, telling the truth. Spencer gives them a pep talk to stay together. The transport abruptly stops. Arya, Emily says we had an accident, and Arya's like, I did in my pants.
Arya's had the funniest one-liners, like, and not funny as like Hannah's lines are usually funnier, but you're just like, okay, like we had to give that to someone.
Right, exactly. It's so funny that it's like, okay, we got to throw a poop joke in here. Arya's got this. The back door opens and someone's in a hoodie and a mask, and they fire a gas grenade at them and enter the vehicle. Toby tells Veronica and Peter that transport drivers were drugged and they have no memory of the kidnapping of the girls. Veronica thinks it was Mona and Peter thinks it's Allie. Tanner wants to keep this quiet and Toby's like, there's a positive. How is that a positive? And he can't even tell the other parents. Veronica and Peter are shocked by this. Spencer wakes up in a random bedroom that looks like her own. There's a whiteboard on the wall with a daily schedule. All the girls wake up in approximations of their own rooms. We see Hannah's, and Hannah has a pink rotary phone in hers, but it's dead. Emily's room has an exposed camera in the top corner, and Arya opens her door to a cement wall. Spencer breaks her window with a rocking chair and sees that the outside is also cement. Spencer hears an intercom that tells her, it's like, hello, and to follow the lighted pathway. Her door unlocks, and we see her and the other friends all leave their rooms into a cement industrial building. They agree they're in A's dollhouse and follow the pathway to a room where a blonde girl in an Allison mask and, as Mike's put it, Allison's crusty yellow top, plays piano. They remove their mask, and we see it's Mona with her hair dyed, and Mona says that she's Allison. The boys are doing a boys' investigation. They gotta find the girls, and they found when the car got taken, and they looked to see if the traffic camera caught it. Mona tells them there's no way out and it's tea time as she points everyone's teas and there's snacks on the table. Spencer tries to ask what's going on, and Hannah says, You're in my house, don't act stupid. Hannah says, we're so happy to see you too, Mona. And Mona's like, don't ever call me that again. You know how much I loathe her. There's a chime, and Mona gets up and leaves out the door. She walks into what looks like a kid's room and sits down at the table that has a mystery date board game. Mona explains the rules that you play to find out who your mystery date is and opens the door in the middle of the board to reveal a picture of Fitz from the ice ball. Hannah opens another and sees a picture of Caleb. Another chime goes, and Mona pulls an envelopes out of a mailbox. They're all individual invitations to the prom. Emily says, we're playing to see who our prom dates are. Hannah starts getting angry and yells at the camera that if Caleb gets involved, I'll kill you. There's more of us than them. And then they try to get Mona to leave as a loud alarm sounds, killing all their eardrums. And Mona runs to her room and says it won't stop until you're all in your rooms, and they all run to their separate rooms. The boys watch the traffic camera and then find that A overwrote the camera with a cartoon. Fitz gets angry and punches the TV console and hurts his hand.
It's my favorite. Like, I mean, why?
I didn't write it down, but is Caleb like, do you need ice?
Yeah, he's like, are you okay? And Toby's like, I'll get you some ice. And he's like, I don't need ice. I need to find Arya. And it's like, oh my God, I hate men. I don't think men should be allowed anymore. It's just, and that scene is good evidence.
It's really good that he's just like, Grah! And immediately hurts his hand. Caleb needs to find the source of the hacker signal so he can trace it. Hannah sleeps when she hears noises in the hallway. She sees the doorknob turn as Mona enters, saying, we have 3 minutes, come on. The five walk down the hall. The power shut off for 3 minutes each night, weirdly. Mona has looked into all the possible outlets, but there's no way...
restart the generator.
Oh, restart the generator. There's no way. She looked into all the possible outlets to get out, but there's no place. And there's even one door that's shut like a vault, where Spencer's like, oh. And Mona's like, no, Spencer, don't go in there. It's a Chekhov's locked door. After 3 minutes, if you're not in your room, you're shut off from food and water for days. And they play recordings of your loved ones that you left behind at your funeral. Jesus. The friends catch Mona up about the arrest and Allison and Mona's mom not showing up at the courthouse. And Hannah hugs her and says, we're happy you're okay. They hear a noise and Mona says to run. Peter and Veronica meet with Allison, and then Peter grills her and is like, drop the act. Tell us where, like, all the girls are. And Allison's like, I am Spencer's friend. Veronica asks if she knows where Spencer is, and Allison looks worried. It's like, wait, you don't know? And Peter threatens her, and Veronica tells her what happened, and Allison asks, she's like, I don't know where they are. Allison says A must have taken them, and tells them that A had restarted because they're like, oh no, like Mona was finished. It's like A restarted when Mona was in Radley, and tells them that A killed her mom. Hannah tried to go to the police, but there was no proof. Peter asks why, be honest now, and Allison's like, I may spend the rest of my life in here. I have nothing else to lose, but you do. We see a hooded figure typing at a console with a bunch of screens monitoring the girls and the dollhouse. Spencer lies awake thinking of the kids' room, and then does the Sherlock Mind Palace thing, and then rearranges the blocks sitting on a shelf until they say, Charles. What if she got it wrong?
I literally sat at home because I was like, Charles doesn't make any sense. Is there another name you can spell with Charles? Instead of studying for my finals, I'm sitting there. I don't know what time of year this was. Oh no, it was summer.
Sherlock. This would have been summer. No, this would have been March.
Yeah, I probably had finals.
Yeah. Right at the end of winter. Mona is awoken by a bright light, and she smiles for the camera. On her drawers is a gift box with an envelope labeled Allison. She opens it to find a gas mask. The note says, because you're my favorite, signed A, and Mona puts it on. Toby she's also really, I didn't write it in my notes, but she's really playing for the camera. It's like, oh, a gift, thank you. And for me, should I put it on? Toby shows Tanner proof that someone hacked the cameras, and she's like, oh, wow, you've been really busy. My analyst gave me a similar report this morning. She calls in an APB for Caleb, and Toby's like, what? Why are you doing that? And it's like, Toby, do you know where he is? I'm betting he knows where the girls are. The friends all enter an industrial factory floor, and the voice tells them to find their places. There's tables with different functions for putting on a prom spread around. Arya notices that the music listed there was from 7 years ago, and Spencer recognizes the prom theme from when Melissa and Ian went to prom. Mona asks them to fill some of the ballots out and writes, "Did you all get your gas masks?" Writes on there, like, "Did you all get gas masks?" They all shake their heads no, and then Hannah writes, "I'm scared." The boys get a knock at the door, and Toby opens to Peter and Veronica, who are like, "We know about A." And then they're like, "Well, no parents allowed. This is a boys' club."
We only let Ezra in because, well, he acts like a child.
Exactly. Spencer gets pissed about having... Yes, he does. Spencer gets pissed about having to spend their senior prom there. She's like, "Allison could make an entrance down the walkway there. We should at least make this so much better." And then Spencer and Mona have suggestions for updating the space with a list of things they need as they're kind of playing to the camera. Toby tells them that Tanner twists all the evidence so they can't go to the police. Veronica wants to go to the media, and the boys all say that would piss A off. It says they can find everything they know about A. They're like, "Hey, look at all these files that we have on A's, and you can learn about it too." Veronica wonders how they missed this happening again. Toby says, "Forcing the girls to stay quiet is what A does best." Peter goes to look in the box of secrets, and Fitz is like, "Hey, that's collected secrets on everyone, not just the girls. So, if you look through there, it's kind of like Pandora's box. Be prepared for yours to come out." Veronica goes, she's like, "No more lies," and goes to help him, and they look through the box. They find that the police are downstairs, and Caleb goes to turn himself in so Toby won't get in trouble for harboring a fugitive. Veronica gets a call from Melissa, and we see that Andrew is listening in on Veronica's phone while he's downstairs in the brew.
Using Bluetooth somehow.
Yeah. He's crafty. Smart guy. The friends all gather during the night power outage. Mona discourages Spencer from going to the quote-unquote vault, the locked door. Spencer is trying to build a machine that would turn off the power temporarily in the prom room. They would build it in the prom room. Those were the things that she asked A to give. The friends are back in the prom room. They find a table with the copper wiring and equipment that Spencer asked for. Emily sits down and protests and is like, "I'm not helping anymore." And Spencer gets mad at her and starts calling her a quitter. And it's starts saying really personal shit to her, like, "You quit on Paige" and shit like that. Emily starts hitting her as the friends run in to intervene as Mona puts a bunch of items in a box. We see Mona has all the items behind the prom voting boxes and the camera can't see them. Caleb is interrogated by Tanner. We see that Peter and Veronica are representing him. He tells Tanner he hacked into her system and found the location of the van, and she's like, "You just admitted to a federal offense." And Peter and Veronica chime in. It's like, if he was referring to getting into the system, he would be able to do blah 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 tech stuff and actually trace the van. Peter and Veronica says, "Do you really think that these teens are actually just running circles around you? It's time to stop investigating the girls." Yeah. She's like, "Nope, these are smart ass teens." The friends are all set up for these are smart ass 20 teens.
Well, and because they were, the first time she saw them or whatever, and she's like, "I wasn't allowed to dress like that in high school." She's doing a what are they wearing? They're wearing cool girl stuff, so they must be running circles around people. I don't know, but Tanner's red flag.
Absolutely, walking red flag. The friends are all set up for prom, but then are forced to return to their rooms. Caleb does some hacking shit with the police and finds that the signal is active on the van. Tanner has Toby call it in. The friends arrive back to their rooms and see that they all have prom dresses. The police find the van and fan out to search the area. The friends all arrive in their dresses for prom, minus Mona, and see the prom area is filled with mannequins, as unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield plays.
It's so uncanny. It's such a weird scene because you're just like, it's a bop,
Yeah.
It's a bop of a song.
Yeah, that's the music video.
And then it's just mannequins and them just standing there.
Yeah, it's real weird. And they're just like, "We're supposed to go dance." So they're just standing a bunch of mannequins. That'd creep you out, just standing in a room full of mannequins.
One, because they know somewhere in that room is Charles.
Right. Good old Chuck. They think they're supposed to dance and enter the floor, and we see that one of the mannequins moves. Yep. The music stops as we get an announcement to welcome the prom queen as Allison Mona steps out. Spencer calls out to Charles and says, "We have something for you. You should be here with us." Hannah's like, "You should be crowned the king." They wait, and then the mannequin starts to walk toward them. Arya triggers the machine, and they shuts off all the power, and they make a run for it. Tina and Veronica arrive at the crime scene and find that, oh, weird, the van is at the old Campbell farm. And we're not talking about the soup here, people. Veronica says the girls used to go apple picking here. Toby finds a basement and calls Tanner over. They go down and investigate and find A's lair with all the screens that A was using to watch the girls. Spencer enters a room as the power comes back on and a record starts playing. This is like the sealed room. Spencer plays a video reel and we see little kids running around in front of Campbell's farm. There's 2 little boys and Jessica is holding a baby and says, "Give your little sister a kiss, Jason." As Spencer watches the person in the mask comes in behind her and she asks, "Is that you, Charles?" Mona comes into the room and Spencer turns around to find Charles gone.
That part has never made any sense to me. Where the fuck did Charles go?
Just lying really low on the ground. Mona says, "This room isn't what I thought it'd be. A has a soul." How do you figure? Tanner turns on all the screens and finds a recording of the girls when Hannah got mad on that first day in the first day of like being captured, where she yelled at the camera and is shocked by what she sees. Toby enters the room again, saying they couldn't find anyone on the property. The friends emerge from the bunker and find that they're surrounded by a tall fence with barbed wire. The floodlights turn on as they yell, or as they go to make a break for it, but Spencer yells to stop, and then we see it's an electrified fence. An oldie song plays, singing "Don't Fence Me In." The camera pulls out above them, and we see they're surrounded by dense forest. End. Wild times.
Very much so. Who was the black hoodie who trazzed the drivers and got them out?
I assumed it was the same as A. But I guess A could have people working for them.
A moved all 4 of them, stabbed 2 drivers, knocked them out, and then moved all 4 girls?
Yeah.
Okay.
Simple. Well, now that you phrase it like that, I'm starting to think that maybe it isn't reasonable for one person to hijack a police transport
and move 4 bodies.
That's right. Oh God, yeah, I have to figure out an A team on top of this. I've been sitting here stewing so long on like, well, now my woman theory is like out the window, and I'm like, oh no, there's could be other people involved in this shenanigans. Oh boy, well.
Why does Tanner not want people to know the girls were taken?
I don't get that either. It was like, oh, we don't want...
Did she not want people to think the criminals escaped? Is kind of how
It was like... It's like CYA.
It's 415-pound girls. Like, this is not like...
But they got out of their police van. And also, why would you... Why? Okay. If you were able to make the leap that you think that they masterminded this, you would think that someone masterminded taking the police van and busting them out. So, well, okay, Tanner is kind of justly rewarded on this because Caleb, who is also a teen, is running circles around there hacking.
Yes, but that makes sense because this is back when, like millennials were the only people who knew how to use technology. 10 years ago, remember?
Fair enough.
I just tease. Kind of. I mean, have you been asked how to save a document as a PDF by someone who is older than you? I have.
I have indeed. Oh God, what was your original question?
Why does Tanner not want people to know the girls were taken?
Yeah, I would think it'd be a cover your ass sort of thing. It's like, we lost teens.
These girls.
Uh-huh. Then they're like pretty high profile ones.
Is Allie involved at all with them being taken?
Them being taken, no. This has me more convinced now that this is like someone is actively obsessed with Allison and the De Laurentiis family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I assume, some like misplaced thing of like how the family structure shook out. Because like, what the hell happened to this third child? You know?
And whose child is it?
Yeah, exactly. It could also not be
each De Laurentiis has a different dad.
That's right. Okay, so Charles looked very similar age to Jason. So if Jason is Peter's son,
mm-hmm.
was she going back to Peter for? Well, okay, and then Jessica was also sleeping with Bethany's dad.
Mm-hmm.
When did that start? the layers of Jessica De Laurentiis's infidelities.
Uh-huh. Where are the girls? Like, where is this place besides in the middle of the woods? Like, is it that far from home? Is it nearby? Is it?
I would assume the woods of Pennsylvania. That's it, because I don't. They were being transferred, but we don't know where.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that it is
like local
around the area, and A just set up this compound in the middle of nowhere, it's like a literal bunker, because they come out and emerge, and they're like then ground level and surrounded by a giant fence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it actually made me think of? What was the show on Fox where the guy is in the fake? He's like in the town.
Oh,
and it's
because
like all eerie.
because they picked people to like.
Okay, we're giving massive spoilers here.
We can't remember
but
what
this
it's called.
is a show from like 10 years ago, so
it was really because it had the two timelines where it was like his wife and his family that stayed because he'd been in a car accident, but it was because they took people to put them in the secret society to keep like rebuilding humanity because the rest of the world outside of that turned into those blue like leopard people things.
Yeah,
what was it
like
called?
Zombies. Yeah, what was that called?
If anyone knows from that horrible description.
Yeah, it starts like almost like the Prisoner sort of thing, where it's like everybody in the town is actively hostile to this person and he doesn't know what's going on, but people are like, you have to play along, essentially. And then he eventually busts out and realizes that he's in essentially a trapped thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's zombies, leopard people on the outside. That's what it made me think of. But it's great that it's like, okay, the girls are like putting this together and you're kind of like seeing them things, and it's like, would A really fall for like pulling copper wiring for them? And it's like, no, because A knows that they're not going to get anywhere.
Well, or it was, A was like, okay, sure, like I'll give you what you want to decorate because I know you can't actually get out.
Mm-hmm. It's like,
I don't think
like
A was onto the.
Oh, you don't think so?
The camera thing. I don't think so.
I assumed that they A knew that they were up to something, because it seemed pretty obvious when it's like, we need copper wiring, and it just seemed like specifically the copper wiring to me was like, that seems like you're trying to like build something. You're trying to run current through something.
How did A manage to replicate their room so well?
A has an eye for detail, and we've always done this. But it is cool that you mentioned, right, that that was my first assumption too. It is that it's just the sets that they used for the rooms regularly, and that's like the in-between space between the sets.
Yes. So what I remember reading when they first talked about this episode, like 9-10 years ago, was that their rooms were all basically connected by a hallway on the actual set. And so like if you're filming in Arya's room, then they decorate the hallway to look like the inside of the Montgomery house, or whatever, so on and so forth. And so I do believe that that's just how their rooms were situated, which I think is kind of cool.
Absolutely. No, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of use you break it's not quite breaking the fourth wall, but you use the artificiality of the show to your advantage with this new set.
Mm-hmm.
It's really smart, and I like it.
I mean, I think they had to add the brick walls and stuff because that wouldn't have been there because they shine light through them to make them look like real rooms.
Right. But like when they come out into the like hallway, and it looks like, just like an industrial building or something that they're part of, like just all cement. Yeah, it's smart reuse of space.
Decorated it to look that way. I would assume it's usually always decorated to look like the interior of someone's house.
Right. Because
they're filming of, someone's room.
Yeah, I guess depending on how they. Yeah.
Let's talk about the implications of Mona living like this for months.
Good Lord. It is absolutely mind-shattering. And Mona is like...
Mona doesn't stay dead for very long.
No, and she's not... No, she actually really doesn't. I guess she's dead for half a season? Half a season. So she's dead for like...
But she shows up in almost every episode she's dead in.
That's true.
That's how I was like, I don't think she's really dead. Like, as it went on, I was like, they wouldn't have kept her on the cast to do flashbacks.
Keep doing this.
Like, I would think they would want to enter contract financially. I don't know. I don't know how you budget a show.
Yeah.
These were assumptions I was making in 2015, so.
Just a little Lost preview. They do some funny stuff with with actors.
With death and then like bringing them back or not, just keeping them around for a while even though they're dead.
There's some because they're trapped on an island and it's like only supposed to take over a period of time. They have to do some really funny explanations in universe and just some omissions of like what's happening with people as they age and live on the island. So it is funny that they kind of like seed all these like little like back end things of General Parrish, but it's also just screamed to me as a way of like, okay, we're gonna have this fun new storyline with you, but we're not gonna upgrade you to a full actor,
like a full time.
You are not starring in. You're still, special guest Janelle Parrish.
I don't know
because it's like still like number of episodes seems to break out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when like Allie would disappear for a few episodes,
But what are the implications of her living like that for months?
Oh, yeah. Terrible. Absolutely. You would be shattered. I would be shattered. Like,
you doubt me? Please don't ever do this to me. I have no willpower for psychological torture.
Oh, I mean, if you could do it, I couldn't do it.
I was just
No, I believe in you. I would not be able to hold up there. I would be broken. I would be Allison. But Mona's like I've done worse. like she is like this. We have to play along and things, but she's like, it's gonna take more than A to like take me down. Mona is no worse for wear. It's very funny.
She's Mona.
That's right.
Let's talk about prom. Prom theme from 7 years ago. What does that mean?
Because there's not...
Does it mean that A is a contemporary of Ian and Melissa, or does it mean that A has access to the high school, like, old decorations and took ones they thought wouldn't be missed? Or does it mean nothing and A simply really likes Natasha Bedingfield's Unwritten?
The idea that A is reusing prom things just because that was like the easiest way things for A to get their hands on is a much better explanation than me being like A's a contemporary. I think that's so much better. It's just like A's thrifty like that.
Even though A like redid their entire bedrooms. I mean, you gotta save somewhere.
Right.
You splurged.
Exactly. Where it's like, oh, I want to do this prom thing, but I'm so tired. I can't come up with a whole new theme and stuff on my own.
Also, how did A buy a chair that looks like the one Toby made for Spencer, if Toby made Spencer's? There's a price tag on the bottom of the chair.
Of the one she threw through the window?
Yeah, because that's the chair.
Through the window. Through the window.
That's the one that Toby made for her in her room. But in there, that's why she flipped it over and there's a price tag on the bottom, so she knew.
Oh, nice. I didn't even pick up on that at all.
Also, the Scrabble letter S, that's usually an S in her room, was an A.
That's really fun.
I thought that was really fun.
A has an eye for design. There's another question that I forget what your question was.
It's just about the prom theme. What do you think? Is A a contemporary? Is A just stealing decorations because you got to save somewhere? Is A just...
idea is that it's...
like idolizing that generation.
They are contemporary.
Okay.
Is my bet. Or A is trying to point them to that there's like some sort of... even if they aren't... okay. My likely guess is that they are contemporary. Second option would be that there's something that happened at that prom that had repercussions for them and that they're trying to tell the friends about.
That's good.
But my gut says contemporary because I also have some theories about contemporaries.
Why is Andrew listening to Melissa and Veronica's call?
It really... because what I was thinking of here is that there's no way for you to know what is the red herring. They like packed so much in here of like, okay, now you got to try and figure out what's going on. There's like lots of like things for you to spring off of Campbell Farm. They really lean into that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, damn,
why is A's lair at the Campbell
Farm? And is A's lair oh wait, no, yeah. A's lair's at the Campbell Farm, right? Right. Oh, so I hadn't thought of this before because I hadn't thought about the A team as a team again because this was reading to me so much like, well, I guess there's team serial killer stuff. I guess Andrew could be working with it. I would put that higher than Andrew being A. Well, that's a little on the nose, isn't it? Andrew, A. Andrew. I thought the pun was too funny and I distracted myself. I still wonder if this is like he's just a weird, misguided dude.
He's like trying to find Arya. He's just being a nice guy. Well,
and he's like, they won't let me into their club. They told me I can't play with them.
Not part of the boyfriend's party.
I know all the boys are up there. Why do they go to Fitz and not to me?
So what about Andrew? This farm. Or the farm or anything.
Yeah, my guess would be that
why is he
it's a misdirect, but that Andrew is working with A. It's a misdirect for us to think that Andrew is A. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That it's like, oh, that the Campbell farm is this big important thing that like created Andrew. And
you're really in a mood today.
Yep. And then it's just not going to be.
What happens now that Tanner knows the girls aren't liars?
She's probably going to actually fucking look for him.
What the start?
Yeah.
And
what? I think she'll actually do her job.
What's going to happen to the girls?
Boy, they didn't get out.
No.
I wonder if they'll somehow ruin A's game and A will get bored of them and release them.
You think A's going to release them after capturing them?
Mm-hmm. But like not they're not going to go in and be like, "Oh, hey, we had fun, didn't we, Charles?" But like they just might find that their doors are open one day. That the game might be ruined because it seems very obvious now that A is just stringing them along to play with them.
Play dolls.
Yep.
Who is Charles? And does that want to take us over to Theory Corner?
Let's take some wild guesses, shall we? All right. Drumroll, please. This has never been more weight put on here. So let us step into my Theory Corner music now matches the vibe. Same with that thing, because it's also taken from Zodiac, which is very of that this similar type of genre. So I jumped the gun a bit with this Dark Police Station as well.
You knew.
Exactly.
Maybe you knew in your heart of hearts.
I did kind of think, I'm like, oh, we're going to start getting darker now. And no, not really. It got much sillier, and I was much happier for it. And now we're getting dark. So I should have found an in-between. I don't know how I'm going to do the next Theory Corner after we get A. But that's for future Brenton to worry about. Right now, present Brenton has to worry about who the hell Charles is.
Who's Charles?
Okay, so my number one theory.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, this is contingent, and I didn't look this up beforehand because I maybe should have. Did we see Wilden's body?
No. Yeah, in the casket, the cell phone.
Shit. All right,
right? The Ashley's cell phone is in the casket.
Oh. Oh, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna come in with a wild one here. So Wilden seems pretty dead. Never mind.
It's probably not Garrett either.
Probably not Garrett, but because like Wilden was contemporary of them, Garrett also contemporary.
Yeah. Ian.
And
there's not a lot of people left from that.
And similar like vibe, not vibe, but I mean like hair color and everything of Jason. That I was like, oh, that could be a potential plausible theory.
Mm-hmm.
We had discussed whether it is like is there an actual twin going around between someone else, and like you're like this, not this. So I was like, Jason does seem high up there because you're looking at the kids, but you also know that Jason is in that clip. does Jason remember Charles and he just not talk about it? What isn't Jason telling us?
Mm-hmm.
So Jason seems suspicious on a number of levels that we could maybe point the finger at, but also
I can't wait for you to get closure on that.
this will be interesting.
Uh-huh.
I don't think Jason is it because he's he's the other one. So I'm trying not to overcomplicate this. I'm just gonna say, and take the guess that A is a guy, one of the guy characters we have around here, and not get too wild about being like, whoa, what if it like we get like some reveal on one of like the other characters. So we're just gonna go forward to that.
Play with both.
Okay.
Have your fun.
I'm trying not to get too lost in the weeds here, but I feel like actually opening up to the possibility of it being a male character, it's like, oh, well, it could be like anybody then, because I don't feel like there's the same sort of plot armor around, say, like the protagonist, like where I always go, it's not the friends, but I'm like, well, it could be the boyfriends. There's plausible around there. I don't think they would shoot themselves in the foot with Caleb, but then you go, Caleb is really good at like all these like sorts of things. Isn't that funny? So it gets a little like funky there.
I don't think after Ravenswood it's appropriate to try to hurt Caleb again.
No, they wouldn't also, because I think that Marlene King, they'd said that they had plans about the next A starting in season 3, and that they kind of like had broken that out. So they wouldn't have shipped Caleb off to another show to bring him back. Exactly.
They would have been like, he might not come back, and so we need to.
And because also then you'd be like, oh, Caleb came from out of town. Isn't that interesting? But nah, it doesn't, there's just too many outside things that it doesn't really make sense there. So then you have to start to wonder, is there someone around that's like lying about their age and like who they are? Which could opens it up a bit. I don't think it's Toby. We've kind of been through there, but Toby could be on the list. But you then start to think about, what did Allison know about Noel? Is Noel high up on the list there? What could Allison have known that he is connected to her somehow?
Or Noel has brothers. We went to Noel's brother's party. He was the same age as.
Oh, right.
What was his name? He was with Mona.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Could have been adopted, but he does have older brothers.
So I mean, also, who's anyone's father or mother in this town?
We're going to keep that open to the possibility, but it does kind of narrow down Noel a little bit. Now, Lucas is always suspicious. What is Lucas doing? He's just around, popping up. Potentially Lucas. Other male characters that are just out there that like we don't really have. Yeah. It's hard from there because they're not really the focus. So, and Andrew does seem suspicious, obviously. But I don't know if Andrew is Big A. It would be very funny that if Andrew ends up being Big A. But also the other thing, it'd be a little disappointing because he's not really been involved in the show. And then now they're just like, hey, he's part of the show.
Yeah.
So if it is Andrew, then I'd be a little not happy about it. So, it seems like leading suspect list right now would be Jason. And potentially another Jason that's wandering around. So, but that's a little tough. I don't know. I don't have a clear vision on this at the moment. If we're gonna pull in kind of the female characters or things,
the gals,
Cece is still right up on that list. Hey, it could be seen now that when A came and captured Mona and was tossing her around like a rag doll in her house, that they were wearing a blonde wig, or could have Cece's hair, which is very similar to Allison's hair.
Maybe A was just a really strong individual.
Yep. Jenna has been oddly quiet. Could still be involved. So we don't know about that. I don't know if I'm missing anybody obvious. It's a conundrum at the moment. But Now, could we have seen Wilden's dead body and he rises from the dead somehow?
Wilden could have a twin.
Wilden could have a twin. Or
I'm just throwing more chaos out here.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. But he could, I guess. But if Wilden was somehow still alive, people have dug out of graves before.
Before this show is over, we will get a reveal of at least a couple more twins of people. So there are twins, but it's not in the way you think,
I know about one.
You do know about one. You know about the last one.
Yeah. So this is also...
Spencer.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't really get the why, and neither did I when I watched it. But maybe the second watch will make more sense.
It also had, I was asking a bunch of questions after this because this episode leaves you in the lurch, so you're just like, oh my god, I want to figure this out. And you kept being like, do you want me to answer any of these questions? And I'm like, no, you absolutely cannot.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because leading into the next one, the final A, will have to get tricky because I don't know the reasons. That was the first episode I ever saw and it was completely out of context. I don't think it'd make sense even in context, but we'll see. So I have to try and stay pure on this for another 10 episodes, something like that. Oh, I don't know if I'm missing anybody. It's Johnny.
Was that the guy who made the table thing that you put yours?
Uh-huh. When Spencer was like, oh, I've made out with 2 guys, I was like, who's the second guy? It's like, oh, Johnny. Yeah, I don't... Maybe they make Mike. No, Arya's known him for her whole life. But I don't know. Am I missing anybody? I feel like I'm missing someone, and it just can't reach it.
It's so hard to not be able to comfort you in your time of need.
But if it is one of the boyfriends, probably say it's Toby. So,
as long as it's not Caleb, baby.
I don't think that because we could also see that it could be showing us Toby in all those scenes, but those scenes are not happening at the exact same time. So Toby could be.
I will say
popping it up and not.
The rumor about the show, I know you said Marlene was you saw the article that was they planned this in season 3, and by the end of season 3 they knew who the next A would be or whatever. They lied all the time.
Uh-huh.
That whole writing staff, or at least Marlene in interviews, I'm sure they were actually telling, intentionally crafted, misleading statements that were not actual lies. But it was pretty common in the fandom to just be don't believe anything they say because they'll just say whatever and then change it.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be that they changed it as they wrote it. It could be that the writing team was intentionally, or the marketing team was intentionally misleading people. Who's to say?
Yep.
But don't believe everything you hear.
Okay.
Don't trust Marlene.
You haven't seen Memento.
Mm-mm.
But he has what is it? He has so do you know what Memento's about?
Mm-mm.
It's
Is it the guy who can't remember?
Yes, he has short-term memory loss, and so he can only remember in or long-term memory? No, short-term memory loss. So he can only remember things in short bursts, and so he has a bunch of tattoos. And there's one that tells him what not to do, and I think it starts where it's don't believe this person's lies. So
that's what you need.
We got a picture of Marlene there.
At least that's how we all felt at the time.
I'll give up this week, but rest assured, I'll be thinking about it. All right. Well, that's the end of Theory Corner. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Any final thoughts on the episode? It was good.
Oh, it was good. Yeah, I had a great time with this episode.
I liked it better the second time around.
Yeah, right. When you're oh, okay, I can not have to be you kidding me? Which is absolutely infuriating. I get it.
So infuriating.
So, I did like the episode. I am just worried about now this is the direction the show is going in. It's a little bit okay. I don't know.
Then we get a reset.
Right.
I mean, it's only 10 episodes. It's got to go, and then it gets a reset.
Yeah, and I think just what it signals about of this troubled childhood and psychologically torturing you get the like psychologically torturing thing where it's like it's pretty funny like in a sense, and also like it's much more like the kind of like stalking them and things, but when it's like physically putting them in a space that's made up exactly like them, that like takes a leap.
Playing dolls with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and finally, it's good to have Mona back, but plugs. You can find this podcast on all your audio podcast platforms at Dead Ends. You can also find us on YouTube at Dead_Ends. We would love, hit that subscribe button. What did the YouTubers say? Hit that bell so you know when you get the
you get a notification when we post a new episode.
Mm-hmm. You get a nice little notification on Tuesday. Yeah. Every Tuesday, you get to see our faces. And then on your audio podcast platforms, give us a nice 5-star review. And you can also email us at deadendspcast@gmail.com. But for now, we're still here. Now, find out everything.
You're never gonna find out who's in the barrel.
Oh my God, that was that made me lose my mind. That you.
Yeah, so one of our lovely listeners, Sarah Weirs, sent me a message because I had said in one of the episodes that I couldn't remember who was in the barrel, and she was like, yeah, because we never find out who's in the barrel. And I was like, you're right. And then I think she mentioned that there's an interview Marlene did where she says that A got a cadaver or whatever. So
horrible.
Dropped plot lines. But so much happens you forget. You don't care about the barrel anymore.
No, because I was like, Charles.
And one day you're like, wait, there was the barrel?
They're jangling their keys over here when I was looking at the barrel.
Peekaboo works really well on you, doesn't it? Oh. Well,
goodbye.
Pretty Little, I forgot what I was supposed to do.
You're like,
I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Look over there.
Pretty Little Liars, the television series, sometimes deals with
disturbing topics.
Okay. One more time with feeling. Pretty Little Liars, the television series, sometimes deals with disturbing.
Not happening.
No, it's your turn.
Okay. Pretty Little Liars, the television series, sometimes. This is horrible. Sometimes. All right.
You're gonna leave this in.
Well, I could put it at the end.
Oh, my face is all red from laughing.
Okay. Pretty Little Liars, the television series, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic. God. Almost had it.
Okay, me try. Almost got it.
Thanks, Homo.
Ooh, okay, first we gotta take like a quick wiggle. Gotta get it all up. Okay. No, hold on. It's not out yet. Pretty Little Liars, the television series, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Jesus Christ.
Jesus. That was touch and go the entire time.
Take 10.
Oh, awful.